Hey there, this is Kosho619. I wanted to go over real quick the Brain2 system / Ikon2 system. I do have one on my Fusion 550 from Blade that I've been trying out lately, and I had a friend ask basically for me to make a video about it. So here you go, Larry. So anyway, we're on the wizard menu right now. The very first page. When you connect your unit, it's going to come up here, and it's going to basically, it'll probably prompt you to update, and you're going to want to update the unit. You click OK, and then you allow your computer to update it. Once it's updated, you're going to name your helicopter. I just left mine Goblin because that's what this was on. You can hit the drop down list, and you can name your model. Some of the models are listed, some aren't. You can pick none. That's pretty easy to do on this page. Next page is your mounting orientation. Mine is the top is up and the wires are front, and here you can see that. And basically we're going to go to the next page. The wizard is a walkthrough, so if you do every step here, you can't mess up. So anyway, I'm running 2 Spektrum satellites. There's one and there's one on the other side. If I pick right here, here's 2048, 11 milliseconds, 11 channel receiver. There is a box here, and at this point is when you would bind your transmitter. Mine's already bound, but basically you would check this box, and then it's going to prompt you on the screen and say to unplug the power. And what you would just do simply is just pull the USB plug and then put it back in the unit, and you'll see your receivers start to blink. And when they're blinking, basically you go to your bind button on your Ix12 or your DX9 and bind it as usual, and you will get a solid light just like that. So at this point we are now bound, and we're going to go to the next page. So click on the arrow is the easiest thing to do. This basically shows you how to hook up your servos. Here's servo number 1, servo number 2, servo number 3, and servo number 4 is labeled very clearly. You also see, whoops, you also see the I hit my finger on that real quick. You also see, you know, if you had a nitro powered helicopter where the throttle gets plugged in, and it tells you the input is 4.7 volts max to 8.45 volts. So you can plug in a 2-cell LiPo if you need it. This is where the setup begins. I'm just gonna go ahead and show you on the screen. When I go left, it's telling me left here, and when I go right, it's telling me right. When I go forward, is forward, back is back. You want to get these numbers here as close as you can to 100 or 100. Basically my aileron is perfect right now. How I did that is I went here, whoops, cancel. I went here to model setup, not model setup, sorry guys. Model adjustment, I went to travel on servo setup. Day in the life, no editing. So travel here, you can see on my aileron menu I'm at right is 135 and left is 135, 135, 135, and that's to get a number of 100 here. I don't care what the numbers are on the screen as long as it's 100 on the screen here and that they're going the right way. I did have to go to reverse, and on my radio I've basically got elevator and rudder reversed so that it shows up on the screen properly, because we can use any radio, a Jetty, Futaba, Spektrum, any kind on this flybarless system. So pay attention to that. That's the directions. The helicopter is unplugged. You will see also, oh, the helicopter is not plugged in, so I'll show you on the next step. We'll keep going here. That's basically, we've set up our transmitter now, and it'll tell you do not change any of these numbers after this. So we're going to go to the next page. We're going to pick our swash type. Here is 120 degrees, and basically I've got 2 servos in the front of this helicopter and 1 in the back. This is a 120 degree swash, and it shows you the number of servo. This is very important. You have to plug in servo number 1, servo number 2, and servo number 3. Servo number 2 is the elevator servo, which is here. So we know that. So now our number 1 servo is over here where I'm tapping on, and this is the passenger side of the helicopter, and that's number 1. So 1, 2, and 3. That is how you plug those into this unit here, into servo 1, servo 2, and servo 3, SRV1, SRV2, etc. You can pick clockwise rotation of your rotor there. You must pick that. Now we're moving on. On my helicopter I'm using today is BK servos. I do like to change my stuff up so it doesn't get boring. So I've got BK servos in it today. Yes, I fly Spektrum 2. These are basically a high-end cyclic servo, and they're 1520 US and 333 Hertz. So that's on my cyclic. I then know that on my tail I'm using a 760 US and 560 Hertz tail servo. It's a high-end specific digital, and basically I pick those frequencies and it sets this number here. If you're a little off from that, you can use the slider to move to whatever hertz you want. You can pick another style servo. Here's one that's 760 333 or 1520 165. You could also do 1520 and turn this up to 333 on the slider. I've had to do that a few times on some basic servos, and that's how you do that. So next, this is where you're going to want to plug in your battery. We are bound now. I'm going to go ahead and plug in the battery. The helicopter is going to become live. We're going to make sure we're in hold mode. Probably do this in a couple steps so I can show you the governor also on this. Okay, so the helicopter's not going to set because it's connected to the computer. So at this point I've got power to the servos, or do I? I do not. Okay, why is that? That's because of the safety guys. Safety first. Here, I'm gonna do this real quick. So when this happens, we're gonna unplug this battery. We're going to turn this off for a second. Remember, we're on the servo page. I'm gonna unplug. We're now gonna, we know our helicopter's bound, and I've set my hold switch and all. So now the helicopter will twitch. Okay, the heli's now set. It's plugged back in. Sometimes you're gonna have to do this kind of stuff. It's just the way it is. Figure it out. That's all I do. So now it's gonna open with the servos plugged in this time. Go back to that servo page. Here it is. So now I'm going to go to center stick. Every adjustment you're ever going to make is going to be at center stick, because center stick is where neutral is on the blades. The blades are now flat. I've adjusted my follower arm to be flat at center stick, and my swash plate is flat. And at this point you're going to check your movements and make sure that your swash is moving the correct way, which it is, because you've set it on the screen for transmitter, so it can't be wrong. So essentially here's forward, backward, left, right, and our tail rotor does work too, but that's back there. So now that we're hooked up, if you wanted to add more pitch, you would simply go up like this, and it lights up an arrow and says you're in positive pitch, and you would simply tap on this number here. I'm at 34, there's 35, there's 36. I'm going to keep it at 34. I've set this helicopter up for 13.5 degrees. How did I do that? I put a digital pitch gauge on this blade, and I set it to 0 at center stick. You'll see that the swash plate acts funny and goes right to center and has like a stop in it, basically, when you're in this section. That's normal. Basically you're looking for 0 pitch, and then at the top we're at 13.5, and at the bottom we're at 13.5. Same with the cyclic. Our blade is now flat. Our cyclic channel is here. You're gonna 0 it, and then you're gonna go simply left like this, and it tells you over here in the description that we're looking for 12 degrees of cyclic. And basically, I'm sorry, cyclic value is around 10, and they're looking for 12 of collective. I put 13.5 because I'm a major flyer. It is 10 degrees. I'm sorry. It's like I said, we're going through this live, and I just woke up. 10 degrees. There's 10 degrees. I have mine set to 10 degrees. Believe me, I do. And we're gonna move on. So if you wanted to reverse a servo, you can do it here. I don't want to touch my stuff right now, but There's servo reverse. Basically what that does is just change the directions of your servos if they weren't going the right way, and it's pretty self-explanatory. Next, we're at the tail. You check your tail and make sure that we're going the right way. There's a right, there's a left. You can take it to right, and you can just tap on this number right here, and it'll increase this 180 to a bigger number. Basically, you want to take it until it starts to bind and then back off. You'll hear the servo go if it's too much, so back it off so it's not. Next here, we're picking 2 blades on this helicopter. It's a 550 millimeter blade. It's 2 blades. It's 515 millimeter to 650 millimeter. So if you have a Goblin 570, it's still going to be 515 to 650. Puts it in the realm. This next one is going to be your rescue bailout. I do not use this. I'm too advanced. I've flown my whole life with just using the hold switch. So this to me will probably make me crash. But you can see on my bank switching here, I do have control on switch E, basically, which is default through your radio. You basically get these 3 settings. So if I did want to use auto level, I would click on this button, and if I want to use on rescue also, when I'm in this bank or this bank, whatever bank I'm in, I can use rescue. So it'd probably be high bank, and I'd click use rescue and use auto level for when I'm in my 3D bank, which is here. We'll get to that. So next is going to be your gear ratio that you're going to set up. It tells you right away, Hobby Wing SC, which is a Spektrum Avion, is you set this number 1100 and 1940. So there's my 1100, there's 1940. You can run it up. My speed control is in aircraft mode. Needs to be in aircraft mode because you are using the governor through the Ikon. So now we're basically controlling our speeds through the Ikon. So the motor is an 8-pole motor, so the pulses of rotation is 4. It's half of the 8. The main gear ratio is 10.18, and there's a calculator here. And how did I get that? Well, the main gear, I believe, is 121 on this 550. I have a lot of helicopters, so check on that. I believe it's 121, and my main pinion gear is 11, so 10.181 to 1. Tail gear ratio, don't believe that number. It's what my Goblin is. It really doesn't matter on an Ikon. It can adjust for it anyway, and we don't have 2 motors, so don't worry about it. So 4.670 is a good number to put there. And that's me because I've done it for so long. So let's scroll down. This is where you set your head speeds. I'm at 1960 on normal, 2350 on medium, and 2525 is my high head speed on my 550. My motor is electric. This is where you're going to click for when you're using the governor. And when I spool this up, since it has blades on it, I'm not going to, but you will see magnet detected and governor engaged, and your motor RPM here will be identical to what it is here if you've done the rest of this correctly. There's telemetry input. I don't use telemetry. It's too much to look at when I'm flying. There's no way I'm going to be able to look at my screen when I'm doing TikToks and Puro flips, so I don't use it. But you could pick telemetry here and solve how to run your telemetry wires and all that jive. Again, we don't need it to fly. So next thing is going to be your bank menu. Basically, you can see mine switch. I'm in low rate at the bottom because it's low, and then I'm at medium, and then I'm at high. I do set all of my gains for my head the same because my head speed doesn't vary much. And basically I can fly in any one of these banks, also using stunt mode. So bank switching and stunt mode switch are 2 different things. They're not the same. This is for head speed, this is for feel. Right now you can see that I'm using a 48 on my gain, and my feel is at 60 on setup 1, it's at 65 on setup 2, 65, and then setup 3 is 75. For me, the hardcore 3D setting is too high. 90 is too, it's not robotic enough, and I don't like it. So there's my settings: 60, 65, and 70, my gain of 48. The last page in the wizard menu is to check your gyro and make sure it's working correctly. If you just go like this, you'll see that it's compensating. It comes back. because it's trying to level the heli, and as I go away, it's going the right way. And over here, we're looking at the rotor, and there you go, everything's moving. So that's going to be the first video on this Ikon2. We'll get into advanced menu on the next one, because this one's getting long. Thanks. Kosho out.